Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So about 20 years ago, this book came out back when I was in high school. I read it 20 years ago and I have not read it since. As you guys know, there is a sequel coming out in a few days. So I wanted to reread the book just so I could be familiar with what happened. And because I didn't want to be reading the new book and being like, since when? The entire story. So now I'm prepared. So for those of you who don't have time to read the book, I'm going to recap what happened in this book so you guys can be prepared too. If you're looking for a review, this is not that. This is just what happened in the story. If you would like a review, I will be doing one a little later on. But just to say, what my views and opinions of the book are, reading it 20 years later as an adult, because they have definitely changed. But this is not that. So anyway, let's get into the story. If you guys recall, when we first meet Winter, she is introducing us to her family. She lives in Brooklyn with her mom and her dad and her 3 little sisters. They live in the projects, but it's not the typical project story because her father, Ricky Santiaga, is the kingpin of the Brooklyn drug gang. So Winter has been insulated in many ways that her friends have not been. Her father is super protective of her. He makes sure that no lowlifes are even looking at her. Her mother is her best friend, essentially more so than a mother. So what Winter learns from her mother is how to be beautiful, how to catch the eye of up-and-coming drug dealers, those kinds of things. From her father, Winter learns protection. She learns that she is above everyone else. Well, actually, she learns that from both her mother and her father. They would both consider, their family heads and shoulders above the rest of the families in the projects. He also tries to teach Winter strategy or, expose her to critical thinking skills. He does this by explaining things the way he thinks of them as a chess game to her, so that she could always be prepared to be one step or a few steps ahead of her competitors. As far as like how Winter would describe herself, I think she would describe herself as loyal, fashionable, smart. She would say that she is sexy and classy, and she would say that she is untouchable. As far as her problems go, Winter's major issues are outsmarting her parents. Now, for her mother, that's not even a big deal because her mother is complicit pretty much in whatever tomfoolery Winter wants to get into. She does not really care. Her father, on the other hand, is very protective of her. So it is some work outsmarting him, and she does consider him to be smart. He is her idol. Her other major concern will probably be catching the eye of Midnight. Midnight is a top lieutenant in her father's drug organization. And Winter has had a crush on him forever. Midnight is not in the least interested in Winter in any way. So she has a whole crew of friends that she does everything with. But for the purposes of this recap, you only really need to remember that she is best friends with Natalie and that she is also close to Simone. On Winter's 16th birthday, her father decides to move himself and the family out of the projects. He wants to move them to Long Island because he says, hey, he's at a level higher than the projects and they need separation. Of course, as Winter sees it, this is the end of life, pretty much. There's nothing like Brooklyn to her. These other people in Long Island won't know how to revere her, how to worship her. There's nothing to get into in Long Island. She is not happy about this move to Long Island at all. So for the next part of the book, what we see is Winter coming up with plans and schemes to get herself back to Brooklyn. That's where she wants to be. And she can't even win Midnight over from Long Island. Like, he's not, in her eyes, going to be able to realize how wonderful she is from Long Island. she needs to be in Brooklyn. So she comes up with plans and schemes to get there. Her father being her father, he's ahead of her and he intercepts her plans most of the time. So this is what we see. We see Winter in Long Island, miserable, wanting to go back home, not fitting in, not having any friends, these types of things. And she's forbidden to go back to Brooklyn. And so is her mother. Her mother is forbidden to go back to Brooklyn as well. Well, her mother really wanted a car for her birthday. She didn't get it. She threw a fit. So now her father is forced to go out and take her mother with her and get this car. During this outing that her mother wasn't supposed to be on, she gets shot. This is the beginning of the end of Winter's insulated world. She gets shot and midnight comes and gets her. Now this is also when we really get the first glimpse into who Winter really is. I think Winter is worried about her mother, how she looks, how will she look, how will she act, those sort of things for probably about 10 minutes. And then she spends the rest of the time like, hey, I finally have midnight to myself. Yeah, my 3 sisters are here, but this is my chance to make my move on midnight. Midnight is not interested in Winter still. When he asked Winter about her interests, she has no interest. She has no hobbies. The only thing she's concerned about is being the best, looking the best, having the most, things like that. Her knowledge of the real world is pretty much non-existent. So Midnight is still not interested in her. And she decides, okay, I'll give him more time. So fast forward to her mother coming home. Her mother comes home and she is no longer the beautiful beauty queen that she was when we first met her. Her face is twisted. She's fragile. She is not the same person that Winter has known her entire life. So Winter, she doesn't take this information and, step up and say, hey, this is my mother. I want to show loyalty to her. I want to make sure that she heals properly and gets the encouragement and, that she needs in this process. Winter is concerned about herself. In fact, she says that, she really needs the attention. Her mother has been hogging up all the attention lately with this gunshot incident. So Winter takes this opportunity to plot on how to convince her mother that she is trustworthy and that she can drive her car for her birthday. So at this point, when we first met Winter, she was 16. A year has passed, and this year her mother has gotten shot. They've moved, and this year they've moved out of Brooklyn to Long Island. Her mother has gotten shot, and life is not the same for them anymore. On her 17th birthday, Winter has convinced her mother that it is safe for her to drive the car. She can be trusted. She's not going to be going to Brooklyn. She convinces her father that she's actually going to be going to a college party because he has been saying that, hey, I don't want this for you. My life, our life right now, I don't want this for you. I want you to have, a different life. I want you to meet a nice college guy, a doctor, lawyer, engineer type, and that's what I want for you. So she convinces him that she's going to be going to this college party. Her mom lets her drive the car. So on her 17th birthday, she is good to go. Her real plans for her 17th birthday are to hang out with her best friend, Natalie, and her boyfriend, Slick Kid. I think that's his name. I'm not sure. But I think his name is Slick Kid or something like that. And they have brought along Bullet for Winter. So it's a double date. Winter spends the night with them and, they make a sex tape. Well, not a sex tape, but they are caught naked on tape, that kind of stuff. And at the end of the night, Winter goes home. When Winter gets home, this is when her whole world really starts to fall apart completely. Her father's been arrested. They done kicked in the mansion doors, took all the money out the safes, took his car, her father is arrested. He is in booking. Her mother is in her very fragile state, does not know what to do, and has no thoughts about what to do. To Winter's credit, she does initially think, okay, how can I get me, my mom and my siblings out of this mess? What can we do? What would Santiaga do? So she does try to come up with a plan. Her plan is to sell the house and sell everything in the house and generate some cash. Which she, thinks is a good plan because Winter doesn't know that anything bought with illegal monies is going to be seized. So a lot happens in a little bit of time, but the major takeaways are that everything they have is gone. They've lost the house, the cars, the clothes and the jewels. Everything has been seized. Winter's mother ends up getting temporarily arrested on some bogus charges, so they lose the kids. Winter and her mother later go on to discover that her father has a whole secret family. He has a mistress and an infant son. Everything that they have, like as they have always known it, is completely over. Winter pretty much gives up on the idea of saving her family at that point, and she says, hey, I gotta focus on myself. The kids are young, they're cute, somebody's gonna look out for them. I have to focus on myself. So and when she thinks about focusing on herself and saving herself, her thoughts go back to Midnight. Winter is thinking that, hey, me and Midnight, we need each other. My father's organization didn't fail. We don't want to end up like the rest of the people of projects. We need to figure out how to stay on top so that we come out of this unscathed. We need to at least be business partners until she can figure out how to win over his heart. Midnight still don't want nothing to do with Winter. When they meet, he calls her stupid. He clowns her for being with Bullet, who was a part of the organization that took her father down, although Winter did not know that at the time. He talks about how she doesn't know anything about life, the world. She's hiding out, trying to keep the family business quiet, which is, what both her mom and her father have taught her to do. And everybody already knows what's happened, and like the whole organization is wiped out. Everybody's in jail. He gives her $3,500 and tells her go back to Brooklyn and sends her on her way. So that's the end of Midnight. So Winter ends up having to go back to Brooklyn. And at first, it's not so bad. She's reconnected with her friends. Yeah, she's lost her mom. Well, her mom is in Brooklyn too, but her mom starts, delving into some drugs. So you can start to see that, hey, she's falling apart. Not only that gunshot to her face, but, here she is. She's thinking that she has the life with the man of her dreams, who she has married and has taken care of her and her 4 kids, and come to find out he got, a family on the side. So her world is shattered. She's starting to experiment with drugs. Well, she's starting to lose herself in drugs. But anyway, it's bad, but it's not the end of the world because Winter's friends are there. Things are cool for a minute, but then Winter realizes that the hierarchy and the friendships have changed. Winter is no longer the top friend. She doesn't have her status anymore because she is no longer the kingpin's daughter. And Natalie is edging her out. Natalie's getting with the top drug dealers. She's getting the gifts. She's getting the box seats to concerts. It's all about Natalie now. Well, an opportunity arises where Natalie's boyfriend, who is spoiling her with this, not Slick Kid, she got somebody new, but her boyfriend, who is spoiling her, shows some interest in Winter. For a half a second, Winter's like, I can't do this to my friend. We've been together since patent leather shoes. But then he says, something like, hey, you would look much better in my car. You would look much better in those clothes than Natalie does. Winter betrays Natalie and gives the boyfriend her number. So as you can already surmise, that's the end of Natalie and Winter's friendship, and they become arch nemesis, essentially. So the only friend left in that circle that Winter ends up having left is Simone. Winter has also betrayed her aunt. Her aunt is asking for, well, I don't know, betrayed is strong. Her aunt is asking her for money. Winter's saying, I don't have any money. I'm in the same situation as you. Your husband got locked up with my dad. We all done lost it all. So she doesn't want to tell anybody that she knows that she does have the little bit of money that Midnight gave her. Winter ends up getting that money stolen by her aunt, and her aunt ships her off to a group home. So a few weeks after she loses, her sisters and her mother, Winter is now in a group home. And I think it's called the House of Success, something like that. It's very different from anything Winter has ever been to. She has to see counselors, therapists, things like that. She doesn't have weekend passes, so she's restricted. She meets some friends there, she meets some people there. And she starts to come up with ways to make money. Well, she uses one of the residents that lives there to help her go as an in-between between Simone and Winter. Simone, her friend from Brooklyn, is not pregnant, but she's also a booster. Simone steals merchandise, clothes, shoes, hats, all that, and she sells them to Winter at a discounted rate, and then Winter then sells them to the girls at the House of Success. And this is how Winter gets extra money. She does hair, she sells cigarettes, she does things like that. Simone helps her do it. Well, Winter, when she gets her weekend passes or her night passes, she cuts out the little girl that she had helping her run her business, and she, just goes directly to Simone herself. The girl ends up feeling a little bit betrayed, but such is life. Anyway, one day Simone gets locked up while pregnant, and she calls Winter to help. She needs Winter to bail her out. Simone had already previously admitted that, hey, I'm getting close to delivery. I'm getting tired. I don't want to be stealing clothes. I have some money saved up for the baby. So I'm not, going to be boosting at the same level anymore. But anyway, Simone's in jail. She's asking Winter to bail her out. Winter's like, hey, okay, so where do I go get the money that you have saved up? Simone's like, no, this is for the baby. I need you to use your own money, and then we'll make that money back later on. Winter hangs up on Simone. She never calls her back. She doesn't bail her out because of Winter's mentality is money over everything, like everything. So she is not using her money to bail Simone out. Well, when Simone does get out, of course, she has a vendetta against Winter. She plots to attack Winter and ends up falling on her face and losing the baby. Winter can no longer go back to the House of Success because those girls help Simone plot against Winter. So Winter ends up at Sister Soldier's house. So here is a situation. So she was with her aunt so far. She ended up from her aunt to the group home. Now she no longer has the group home as an option, and she's at Sister Soldier's house. Sister Soldier lives with a doctor in a Harlem. I want to say they live in Harlem. A Harlem brownstone. They have all type of philanthropy work going on. Sister Soldier is affiliated with all types of stars. She has a little sister that lives at the house that Winter comes to be pretty cool with. That she describes. Sister Soldier describes her little sister as a trickster. Winter, she gets to go meet celebrities, things like this. One time she's at a celebrity party and she thinks that she's, won a contest to sleep with this big rapper. Turns out she was tricked, and it was just part of her security, his security that she ended up sleeping with. So things are not going that great at this new house. She's out of money. She has no way to make money. And, Winter would never consider like a regular job as a way to make money. That's not what she's accustomed to. That's not the life that she has grown up in. Winter plans a heist, pretty much. She wants to rip off the doctor, rip off the philanthropy benefit, the money that they've raised for AIDS awareness. She comes up with a plan to steal all the money, but turns out that Lauren, the little sister, intercepted her plan, and Winter leaves the house with nothing. She has a few dollars, and that's it. So Winter is out of options. She has burned every bridge that she's come across. But on her 18th birthday, Bullet comes back. He rings Winter up, and when she had nothing, was down to nothing, he swoops back in and picks her up. Bullet is, big time now. He's got his own hustle. He has his own tricked out Brooklyn apartment. He is what Winter considers a catch, and he is what she has been looking for all this time. They get together. Now, keep in mind that Midnight, not too long ago, cussed Winter out for getting with Bullet, who was integral in the collapse of her father's organization. Winter somehow in her mind has convinced herself that, yes, I'm about to be with Bullet, but even though he has helped my organization, my father's organization to fall, that's not a big deal because I'm still going to be loyal to Santiaga. Well, Bullet has his own issues, his own deep-seated trust issues, and he never allows Winter to really touch any money. So it's not the relationship that she thought it was going to be. It's not what her mother and her father had. She doesn't want for anything. Bullet, all the latest clothes, all the latest shoes, Rolexes, that kind of stuff. He gets that for her. But having her own things, he does not allow for her to have that. He did allow her to sign the lease for her apartment, though. So, and he did allow her to get credit cards, even though he confiscated them and held them. So one of the things I kind of failed to mention was that Winter is obsessed with getting into the drug game. It's her family's hustle. It's the hustle she feels like she is most familiar with. She wants to be a part of the drug game. Every drug dealer that she has approached with this idea is like, no, you are not going to convince us that Santiago taught you the drug game. But Bullet has a partnership of sorts for Winter, where he's going to let her be in the game a little bit. They're going to be like a Bonnie and Clyde duo, pulling off, capers and whatnot. Anyway, he invites her on a drug transport across state lines. But before they go, they have to stop by Brooklyn. He has some errands to run. A whole lot happens in a short amount of time. Winter sees her mother. Her mother lures her out of the car that she's supposed to be waiting for Bullet in with letters from her father. Winter hasn't been able to get in contact with her father pretty much since he's gotten locked up. So, of course, she wants the letters from her father. Santiago is still number one in her eyes. Well, once she gets out the car, she is spotted by her enemies. Now, Winter has turned against everybody, all of her friends in Brooklyn. Natalie, Simone see her, and a fight breaks out. Winter gets the side of her face sliced, and she ends up what was like a 7 or 8 inch cut, something ridiculous. Bullet runs in and sees what's going on, puts Winter in the car so they can leave because the police are coming. The police get too close. He sees her in the passenger seat, and he walks by the driver's door, and he walks off, and Winter is left holding the bag. So the car that is full of drugs to transport, those are in her name with her credit card. The apartment that they are able to link back to her, that's in her name also with drugs in it too. Winter is Santiaga, she's not going to snitch. She ends up holding the bag and gets a 15-year sentence for her crimes. We see Winter at the end of the book. I think it's like 8 years later we see Winter. She is getting out for a day to go to her mother's funeral. The only thing that she would be able to leave for is, you know, an event like her mother's funeral. So she's going. She sees her father, who she hasn't seen in forever. They look inside her mother's casket. It is unrecognizable. No one could have predicted the fall Miss Santiago would go through. She's a crackhead. She's emaciated. She looks terrible. Midnight pulls up with her 2 twin sisters. He actually adopted and raised them, and Portia ends up driving up at the end of the funeral as well. And Portia, for all intents and purposes, looks like she's living the same life Winter was living, that ended up getting her in jail. But Winter does not, you know, tell her story. She does not impart any words of wisdom on her. She says, you know, hey, she has to learn for herself. So at the end of the book, that is where we have left Winter. She is serving her sentence. She's waiting to get out of prison. So in the next book, we'll see what has happened to her in that time and what kind of winter we will get. So thanks for watching my recap of The Coldest Winter Ever. We are now ready. We are up to date with everything that has happened that got Winter to where she is now. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will try to answer them. See you guys next time for the review. I'll probably do the review.